Hey profs, I'm Kaitlyn.
And I'm Kynedy.
We're best friends and hosts of Rowan University's newest podcast where we highlight the different ways to get involved with the 200 plus clubs on campus. This is ClubChat. Kynedy, did you know that Rowan had his own TV network and TV studio here on campus?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You know what's crazy?
What?
Today, for this episode of ClubChat, we have the newly elected president of the Rowan Television Network coming here today to speak with us.
No way.
Yep. Yes,
Oh my
way.
gosh.
Yes, way.
Oh my God.
So, let's get into it. Today, for our next episode, we have the privilege of sitting down with the president of Rowan Television Network, Keegan Thompson.
Hello. Thanks for having me on. Privilege, it might be a bit overselling it a little bit.
It's okay.
All right. It's privilege. Okay. I'm honored to be here as well.
Thank you. So, Keegan is a junior here at Rowan University, and he is a sports chem and journalism double major.
That's right, yeah.
Period. That's good.
Yeah.
So, welcome to Club Chat. First, we want to say thank you for joining us, and can you please tell us a little bit more about yourself?
I mean, how long do you have? No, I'm not that vain. Well, obviously, I'm here at Rowan, junior sports chem and journalism double major, as you stated earlier, president of RTN. Very new position for me, but I'm mainly focusing on sports commentary. That's the career path I want to follow. I'm an Eagle Scout. My family and I travel a lot. We've gone to over 163 national parks between myself, my mom, my brother, and my dad. And yeah, I'm really not that interesting.
No, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Traveling.
Yeah, well, I try to keep busy. I used to commentate esports. That's how I got into communications and studying this. During COVID, all the theaters shut down back home. I used to be in theater in high school and couldn't play football anymore either. So I needed a new outlet for my creativity. Started commentating esports tournaments online, and I was like, I could make a career out of this. And here we are.
So you want to do what they do like during like a football game, like say like the Super Bowl,
Yes.
and they seated at that one table.
Yep,
Yeah, I love them because they be instigating.
They do.
Yeah, Super Bowl would be a dream, but that's a long ways off at this point.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
see it in your future. Also,
I hope so.
I have another question.
Yes.
You said you were into theater.
Mm-hmm.
So what plays have you done?
I did a couple. I was involved in like the drama club and then theater in high school from when I was in 6th grade all the way through my senior year. I was actually club president of Liberty High School Theater in my senior year. But despite that, I never really grappled to it like a lot of the other members of the club did. You know, I did the shows, you know, the musical numbers were fine and fun on occasion, but I liked more plays more so than musicals. But I think my favorite play I did was It's a Wonderful Life, and I was the villainous Mr. Potter.
Ooh.
And he was cool. It was nice to be pushed around in a wheelchair for a whole show. That was fun. I had a good time with that. There was a member of the cast whose entire role was just to be on stage pushing me around in a wheelchair.
That's what I would do.
And then he became my best friend.
Period.
I love that guy.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
All right. So what led you to choose Rowan as your education, your further education?
So that's another roundabout answer. Actually, out of high school, I went to a school in Northwest Indiana called Valparaiso University. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the school, it's a good school. I went there for a little bit. They're a very, very strong program when it comes to engineering, but in terms of their communications studies, I was a little bit disappointed when I was there. There wasn't too many opportunities for me to actually practice my craft online, which is why esports really took off for me. And on my own, I went to a bunch of places like Vancouver, Canada for a couple events. I did some international broadcasts for France, Mexico, Puerto Rico, and Brazil. And I did a lot of events out in Oregon, Portland, Seattle. So a lot of events like that. And that was really most of the practice I got. So I said, if I'm working this hard on my own and the university isn't really helping me out along the way, I should probably pick another school. And I wanted to go to Michigan State and Penn State and schools like that. But they weren't really affordable for somebody in my demographic.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I was looking around. I was forced to take a gap year, and I was kind of miserable when I was at home. But I ended up working 3 jobs at the same time. I worked in 2 restaurants at the same time. Plus, I managed to get a job as a freelance videographer and video editor at my local television station, just off the merits of my experience in esports. Mm-hmm. And my dad happened to meet playing golf a man named Zachary Henderson, who is one of the higher ups at the Philadelphia Flyers who knew Neil Hartman, who's the dean of the sports communications media department here at Rowan. And I met with him 2 Decembers ago at this point. And I fell in love with the place instantly. The way he spoke about the program, and just I could clearly tell there was a lot of ambition with this university. And that was the main reason I wanted to be here, is because the school's trending upward. We had a lot of construction going on, which is annoying for a student, but as someone who's coming in, it's like they're investing money back into the school, into the student population. I toured the television station, I toured the radio station during that meeting and everything, and I was like, this is a dream come true. And I ended up picking Rowan over schools like Michigan State, Penn State, West Virginia, and I'm very happy here. I'm significantly happier than I was out in Indiana.
That's nice. That's calm.
Are you originally from Indiana?
I'm not. I actually grew up in Pennsylvania.
Oh.
So that was a bit of a hike for me. We went from a 13-hour drive one way to get out to Valpo to like an hour and a half where I live.
Saving gas.
Yeah, well, my parents were happy.
Yeah.
But I think that experience helped me figure out what I could do on my own without parental supervision and a lot of people, in my corner helping me, because I had very supportive upbringing. My parents were both in the picture despite not being together. I had a grandfather who was basically a second dad to me, my older brother, who we got into it a little bit when we were, around that age, but he's my best friend now, and I'm actually going to his wedding tomorrow as his best man. So that's a big honor for me. But surviving out on my own in Indiana where there's not much to do and being able to succeed in that way and coming here, bringing that energy, it's been something I've really enjoyed. It's been a great experience coming here with all of that skill.
That's cool. So can you please explain to us exactly what Rowan Television Network is, a.k.a. RTN?
Yes. So RTN, that's why we're here. I recently got sworn in as club president, actually a week and a day ago to the day. So I'm very new to this.
Congrats.
But RTN's the campus television station. We do a lot of events on campus. You'll see people with cameras at a lot of the Rowan After Hours events or some of the special events at the Sweeney Center. We do a lot of our sports events on campus as well. So if you see a big production group, that's us. We post all of our videos up on the YouTube channel that we have at Rowan Television Network. And in lieu of not really having a station that is on the national airwaves and plays 24/7, having the YouTube is a really good way to get our stuff out there. We have a bunch of studio shows as well if you're not really into the field shoots. So, and a lot of them are very specialized. We have a sports show called All Access with the Profs, which was the main studio show I was a part of, obviously, as a sports communications and media major. Great experience for a lot of people to get involved and learn, how to interview people, how to write stories, how to edit. We have the Night Owl, which is a lot of sketch comedy-based shows, but they also make a lot of feature-length films. I think they're working on the 3rd edition of Kentucky Jones, which is obviously a parody of Indiana Jones. So the former vice president, Matthew Fenton, he's been working really hard on that, so that'll be coming up in the next couple of weeks. Just it's been a long editing process. We have RTN Tonight, which is basically a parody of like late night shows, and then Saturday Night Live as well. They do a little bit of sketch comedy there. Rowan Roulette, which is a variety show. We had a couple new shows start this semester, or this year actually. We have Are You Listening, which we invite local indie bands in, and we do a lot of music video styles of them just performing as well. So there's a huge variety of stuff. There's nightly news we have on Friday nights called RTN News. It's a really big, really involved club. It's one of the biggest clubs on campus in terms of student involvement, and it's a really good way for a lot of our media students to get involved and learn more about their craft and specifically what they want to do for it.
That's cool. I didn't think it was like that.
It's a really involved club.
Yeah.
There's so much. Even if you're not really into the being on camera or the editing or whatnot, there's always something that you can learn to do there. And that's the thing I love about the club the most. There's a whole variety of people who do a bunch of different things and have that interest that they converge together and make something awesome every time.
Cool.
That's cool. All right, now you already touched on this a little bit, but what motivated you to get involved with RTN, and then how did you grow to become the president of RTN?
Well, obviously coming here as a junior, transferring in, I don't have a lot of time left, as I'm sure you guys can attest to. You're graduating next week, but I wanted to get involved as quickly as possible here. At Valpo, love the school to death, but they didn't really set me up for success in my career path. I didn't have a lot of opportunities to really explore my craft and do much in the sports commentary side of things, and really wasn't opened up to much many other aspects of my career. So then, I got in with RTN. I was like, it's a campus television network. We didn't really have anything to that scale at Valpo. So I wanted to just show up, see what it was about. And lo and behold, I fell in love instantly. Getting involved with All Access in my first couple of weeks was great. Carrie Letizia and Julian Mazzarelli were our producers. Caden Murphy took it up from Julian, who graduated last semester. So Caden produced with Carrie this semester, and the show just does something new every week. Then we were doing the sports shoots. I've done a couple special events. I actually went last weekend to go record somebody's senior project. He was a theater major, and he just put on a play with a bunch of people. So I went and recorded the whole thing, and it's a really good experience. So I just said, I need to be here. This is where I need to be. And going up to being president, it was kind of an unprecedented year because the president normally has to be a previous member of the executive board, which most of the executive board members are either graduating or didn't really have any interest in being the club's president. Yeah. So they actually opened it up to everyone to apply for the positions. And I said, well, why not me? Why am I not capable of doing this position? And I didn't really see a lot of people jumping at the gun. Other than me, there were 2 other candidates who interviewed. So there really wasn't a lot of interest. And I'm like, why? A club this cool? I'm surprised more people aren't jumping on this. Mm-hmm. And they liked me enough in the interviews to the degree where I was one of the only people to give a speech for the position. And I won out in the voting. and it was pretty surreal to be up there and everyone's like, yeah, you're the president now. I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. It hasn't really sunk in. I've only had the position for like a week, and it still hasn't sunk in just how much responsibility it's going to be for me.
Mm-hmm. A lot of responsibility.
Yeah, you're
gonna feel it next
idea.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Well, I had a really good predecessor in Lindsay Eno, really incredible person. Kind of showed me the ropes a little bit going into it. Gave me a whole footnote. I took like 6 or 7 pages of notes when I was having a conversation with her just about what you need to know for the position. So it'll be an experience for sure. But most of the e-board coming in next year is new, so that could be a really good thing or a really bad thing. But I'm tending to look on the positive because we don't really have any predetermined ideas for what we know it's supposed to be, just because we're all so new at it. And I think that's exciting because we could really make it our own thing.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's cool. So how do you go about managing creative differences on the production team?
Well, working in a studio show like All Access, it's a lot. The good news is we had a lot of creative freedom to do our own thing a little bit for the most part. Now, you have your pretty standard, hey, I want you to go out and interview a player or give a rundown of this game, but we actually had a lot of segments this semester that were catered to people who had new ideas. So we started like 4 new segments actually this semester. So RTN's pretty much an environment where if you want to do something, there is room for it. Creative differences will happen. Generally, you defer to the producer. If they don't want your piece or if they do really want you to improve your piece, you have to listen to them. What they say goes because they're the ones who are doing all the production stuff behind the scenes. Myself personally, if I have differences with somebody I'm working on, generally we just talk about it and we're like, well, listen, I want this and I'm the one in front of the camera. Or, you're the one in front of the camera. This is your decision. So you can really give suggestions to a lot of people. But for the most part, more often than not, people are going to be willing to say, oh, you know what, let's try that for once. RTN had people go live, reporters go live in the field for the first time in the entire show's history just this past year. And we've been doing it multiple times. We got consistently good at it. So there's a lot of ways the club is optimizing and teaching new skills to people so that they can succeed in their actual career path, which is, it's really exciting to be there taking part in it and also watching other people learn in that way. It's the most rewarding club on campus in that regard, I think.
That's cool. Nice, yeah. I have a question.
Yes.
Is it like an all student run club?
Yes, it is. We have a few faculty advisors who help us out and we can consult specifically the e-board, but across the board, it's all students. We're the ones doing the shows, running the studios. Obviously some of the staff help and teach us things, but for the most part, we're a self-taught club. Most of the seniors and juniors or upperclassmen are teaching all the new incoming students or transfer students how to do these things, and they learn pretty quick. Actually, All Access had a ton of freshmen step up. Caden Murphy, who I mentioned earlier, is the producer. He's a freshman. And
Oh, wow.
and he was one of the producers for one of the most involved shows on the television network. And there's a whole lot of that. The RTN Member of the Year was a freshman this year, and she's stepping up to be the special events producer for the upcoming year on the E board. So
They're like talented.
yeah, they are.
That's
They
crazy.
are. It astounds me every time we have somebody new just rise up out of nowhere. It's awesome. It's been a great experience watching so many people grow and bring their already involved skills and teach others. More often than not, people are willing to help out and learn from others as well. It's great. It's such a good environment.
That's nice. Okay, so what type of events does your club normally organize, and how do you encourage students to get involved?
Well, we have meetings once a week every Tuesday night at 9:30, which is kind of tough for a lot of people, especially commuters, to make it to. That's something we're looking to fix for the upcoming years, to just make it more accessible for people. But type of events we do, obviously we have our studio shows. Those run generally once a week. Shows like RTN, Are You Listening? Those are a little bit more specialized because we need to bring in guests for those to work. But other than the studio shows, we help out on campus whenever there's certain clubs who need events covered, or when we have a feature that we want to do for like special events. Special events is generally where you get the most people coming in, because we do some of the conferences out at the Sweeney Center, like I mentioned earlier. So there's a lot of stuff that we do. Sometimes you don't even notice we're there, but we're still there recording conferences and any number of things. And if you're at your club, this is a plug, by the way. So I'm here for the club. I might as well plug it. If you are doing a special event on campus and you want a group of people to come out and record it and cover it for you, RTN does that. We are here to help out for all of our students. We mentioned earlier on the podcast, we did a bunch of senior projects this year. We've done a bunch of conferences, speakers, any number of things. And if that's something that you need covered and you want some capable people to do that, send us an email or send myself an email. Just reach out to the club and we will do whatever we can to help you, if time permitting, of course.
And it's free?
I was about to say.
For students, yes.
Hey!
Yeah. Well, because you're helping us teach ourselves how to do this professionally as well. So if you need something covered, we're more than willing to send some people out there who are interested and want to do a good job for it.
Free 99.
For real.
Yeah.
You about to get mad people after this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, well, yeah, just give us a call. We'll be happy to help.
Period. So let me go to the next one.
Of course, yeah.
What's a piece of advice that you would give to a student who is interested in RTN but lacks production or on-air experience?
Show up. Show up. You will learn. I had the luxury of coming in as a junior when someone who's been in the industry for a while and learned all this stuff on the fly. Come here. We will teach you. You actually need to be trained for all of our equipment in order to take part in studio shoots or out in the field. So, we teach you how to wrap wires. We teach you how to work a camera. We teach you how to set up a tripod and all the other stuff. If you want to learn how to do interviews, we have people here who are more than willing to teach you. If you want to learn how to edit, which not a lot of people know how to do, we have a sister club called Cinema Workshop, and they have a thing called the Post Office that they do once a week. I think it's on Thursdays or Fridays. But people, you can come in and bring your edits to them and say, can you help me with this? And people will be like, yeah, well, why don't you try these things? And they'll teach you how to work Adobe Premiere Pro, a bunch of other really difficult to learn editing software. And the thing, if you want to learn, RTN's the place for you. We are more than willing to have, as long as we have people coming in, we will teach you everything you need to know.
I feel like I want to learn how to edit because, I be doing little vlogs and stuff, and I be wanting to put the funny stuff in it,
I hate editing stuff. It takes so long. It's so long.
Nah, what you did was funny, though, for that.
But it be looking like, I don't know. I feel like I be doing enough. But when I get to that level, if I got to really keep trying.
I just want to add, a couple little things and, a couple little memes, nothing too crazy. I don't want to be, every, 3 seconds,
right.
something pop
But
up.
I feel like, too, it's the software that you use.
It makes a world of a difference because a lot of them have a bunch of different features and some of them don't. Like the editing software I used at the television station I worked at was very bare bones. Basically, it was throw the clip in, you can tweak the audio a little bit, you can cut these parts out if you need to, and that was it. Meanwhile, Adobe Premiere Pro was like, oh, you can add graphics.
Right.
And you can add transitions and cool stuff like that. So
Is it free?
Adobe?
Oh, yeah.
Adobe's free for students. I think the one that they had a license for, but
I've been using iMovie.
I think iMovie's pretty good from what I've heard.
I'm using CapCut.
Oh yeah.
Is CapCut good?
CapCut's decent. I mean, CapCut is free, right? As long as you have the watermark
I'm
at
not
the
doing
end.
the CapCut Pro.
No, that's and I mean, if you could get it for free. The thing is, if you have an iPhone, like iMovie's accessible for a lot of people, but an industry standard is Adobe Premiere Pro. But if you have a student ID here, I think you get it for free. Or Adobe Premiere Pro, I think you get it for free.
Yeah.
I don't know how long we got, but I don't know how long we got with our student emails, but
Yeah, well, at least you got a week. I mean,
it's only for a week.
well, I mean, you're graduating next week.
Oh.
Wait, they
Say,
might.
oh my gosh.
We'll
Yeah, you have a
Probably after
week-long
summer.
free trial, and
Yeah,
then you
then,
start paying
yeah.
for it. No.
We'll see.
Yeah, but again, genuinely, if you want to learn something, this is the club for you. But editing's tough. It's one of those things that you need a lot of work to get even passable at. And then there's just such a high skill ceiling that there's a million things you can learn. There's people who've been working on Adobe Premiere Pro for 4 or 5 years, and they're still finding new things out within the program.
Editing is so much. That's so time consuming.
It is, but there's something meditative about it whenever I'm like recording something and I'm like looking through all my footage. I'm like, oh, okay, I can use this. I can use this one. I'll cut the audio out here and just voice over this one. So in terms of creative processes, like editing's really fun for me specifically. And I think a lot of other people just, it's a very drudgerous process. It's not something that you want to do all the time for like multiple hours a day. But I don't know, for me, it's just relaxing.
All right, so aside from being president of RTN, are you involved with any other clubs or organizations on campus?
I'm involved in a couple. I was on the esports team for a little bit in the fall, but I just got so busy with RTN that I didn't really do much. I actually just got trained for the radio, so I'll be doing that next year. I have my own show at, I believe, 9 in the morning is when I start on Monday mornings next semester, so I'm really excited for that. It's just a DJ position, but
That's cool.
it's fun. Obviously, I love being on camera and on the microphones as well, so that'll be fun. I work also with the Student Alumni Association, and the big one is I interned with the athletics department last year, or I guess last semester, and now I'm a part-time worker for them. So when RTN isn't even doing a game, Rowan Athletics usually has a game stream, and they need cameras and technical directors and sometimes commentators. So I usually put my foot in the door for those whenever they need me, and that's been a really, really rewarding position as well. They need interns every semester, by the way, if you're interested in the sports communication side of things.
Get an internship, y'all.
Yeah, reach out to William Voigt. He will get you hooked up, or he'll interview with you and give you the opportunity to get hooked up. But that's a really great program. That's my favorite thing I've been involved with so far on campus, other than RTN, of course.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you really like putting yourself out there. Like,
Yeah.
You need to. I mean, you know this. You're both very successful people. I can just tell by like talking to you, and I'm a big fan of the show as well. So I see what you guys do every week. But like the most important thing for incoming students is just put yourself out there. Put yourself in positions where if you don't succeed, you're at least learning something, and people are getting to know you and understand more about you and what you want. And I think that's the most important thing you can learn at college. So, it's taken me a long time to get to Rowan since high school. 2 years at a previous university and a gap year as well. And I've got one more year left to make everything come together. But it's super worth it if you just try something. And if you don't like it, you just don't need to go back.
Yeah.
And then find something else to do with your time. That's the beautiful thing about college. There's a million interest clubs here. And if you don't like one, there's probably 2 or 3 more that you will like.
Or you can just make one.
Or you can just make one. That's another thing. Yes, absolutely.
that's cool.
You just give that, like, I know your LinkedIn, like, fire. Like,
Nah, low key. Like, as soon as he said Brazil, I'm like, oh yeah.
200 plus connections, like, me and my little, like, 37, like.
Me and my one mutual, like, nah.
I can stand to do a bit more on the LinkedIn, I'll tell you the truth.
We're going to hear your voice everywhere. We're going to see your face everywhere.
Literally.
One day I'm hoping so. I'm hoping my mom will be able to be like, that's my son.
I feel like you got, like, such a good, like, TV voice or, like, a commentator voice.
Oh, well, it's taken years to get here. When I was still going through puberty in high school, it sounded a lot worse. I'll tell you that much.
That's cool.
That's funny.
So what discretion would you love to see the network go in a few years under your leadership?
What direction would you like the club to go?
Yeah, I said discretion, but it's okay.
That's okay.
I was gonna say,
You didn't have to call attention to it. I got you. The amount of broadcasts I've been on where someone has said something completely wrong, and I've been subtly able to be like, oh yeah, so like work it over. But I digress. What what direction would you like to see the club go in? It's a big question because the club's constantly finding ways to improve and innovate itself. I think the main thing I would want to do is work on search engine optimization, which essentially if someone's like, oh, Rowan Television Network, we want to be the first result that pops up on whatever social media it is or on Google. So that will bring us to, or bring new people in who aren't necessarily fans of the school or don't even know about the school. You know, we want to have that presence kind of nationally and bring more people into the fold because of that. We want people to, from around the country or the world to tune in and be like, oh, you know, I like what those kids are doing over there at Rowan. And I got to keep my eye on them. And like the amount of stuff we've done to optimize and innovate and try new things, sometimes not always successfully, but we're still trying and we're making the show more interesting. So I would love to see a lot of the other studio shows try to adopt similar styles. And they have. You know, since All Access was like, yeah, we're going to send somebody out into the field and do that live, other shows have been doing that. I'm a big believer in the philosophy that a rising tide lifts all boats. So when you see a lot of people who are confident in their abilities and ambitious to try and make something of what the work that they're doing, a lot of other people will see that and say, we want to do that too. We don't want you to take all the glory. And a lot of people think competition's a bad thing. It's not. Competition is a great thing because sometimes people argue, sometimes people have disagreements and they fight. But at the end of the day, they're fighting because they both want to improve themselves and each other. Specifically at RTN, we have creative differences all the time. And we still find ways to make the most beautiful productions I've seen at a college station at this level. And that's something I would love to see the club try to embrace more, is to say, okay, we're doing some cool stuff over here. Why don't these other guys see that and go, yes, we want to do more than that too. So again, it's one of those things that we have a lot of creative minds and a lot of capable people working. So it's just a matter of shifting the dynamic from, oh, they're doing really well, but we're doing our own thing well too. They're doing really well. Let's improve what we're doing and be better than them so that they'll want to improve too.
Nice. That was inspirational.
That was.
Well, they didn't just put me on the board because I have a
That's
pretty face. You know?
That's why he big press guys.
I listen, you know, I get poetic a little bit. I watch a lot of English soccer. That's kind of how the commentators go a little bit. They use more eloquent verbiage than I can bring up here. But, you know, when it comes to preaching your message, RTN's a really good way to teach people how to do that, for one thing. The other thing is, you know, get people bought into the culture of the club. And that's something I really want to do as president, is to get everyone on board with that idea of let's make this something we can all be really excited about. Like I want RTN to be the reason people jump out of bed in the morning and get ready with their day. And it was for me this entire school year.
Nice. All right, so now we're going to change the pace a little bit. We're going to play this or that, and it's going to be TV edition. So we're going to ask you two separate choices, and then you're just going to pick one.
Let me sit up a little bit.
Like life or death.
It's life or death. Okay, let me actually sit up.
All right, so the first one, live broadcast or pre-recorded?
Ooh. I mean, I guess more sports commentaries live, so I'll take that. Okay. That said, I really like working in post-production for a lot of the stand-ups I do. I love going out and interviewing players and then, getting practice footage of them and putting all that together into something. You know, my segment for All Access with the Profs this semester was called The Perch. And I had a particularly good segment where I interviewed two of the players who were going on to be seniors for the Rowan soccer team, the men's soccer team. And, I interviewed them both separately, and I was like, okay, this could be pretty interesting. But then I mic'd them both up at practice, and I got footage of them, and they were just talking smack to each other the whole time. So I went back and I interviewed them, and I was like, hey, can you tell me more about that? And they're like, oh, we're just really good friends. You know, we're competitive here because we want to help each other grow and succeed, and we want to push each other and the rest of the team to follow us in that way. And I'm like, so something really beautiful for telling a story just fell in my lap. So, live broadcast, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. But post-production and working in, reporting and interviewing and everything, you can be very creative and put something together that is better than you even expected it would be.
That's cool. 4K or 1080?
4K is the future, but it's not really accessible for a lot of people. Especially for things going up online, 1080p is the standard. I would love it if 4K was able to, go up further. 4K looks beautiful and it's great, but it's not really accessible for a ton of people these days. So I think 1080p is the way to go if you want to cast a wider net and bring more people in.
Okay. All right. So the next one, on-air talent or production work behind the scenes.
I like being on air. I have the voice for it. Obviously, I've been training this for years and years and years. I used to be performative when I was in middle school, high school, being on stage and performing in shows and whatnot. I used to want to be a film actor, actually. So being on air is kind of my wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. That said, working with athletics and then working with All Access and a bunch of the other shows like that, I really grew to like being a technical director and working in graphics or editing. So I love both, but I think I would love to be, I love being on air. I love commentating. I love interviewing people. I love writing my stand-ups and going out and doing them. That's the thing that keeps me coming back every week. Nice. That's my favorite thing.
That's cool. So do you like shooting live events or shooting in studio?
I like studio a tiny bit better, and I'll tell you why. It's because fewer things go wrong. Things still go wrong, obviously. Things go wrong in every production. Yeah. Someone could throw up a graphic at the wrong time, or the worst thing is when you have equipment that malfunctions, and you have to just play around that. So when you're out in the field and your camera stops working, tough luck. You can't do anything about it. There's been times where I've been ready to go commentate live productions, and for some reason the stream isn't working properly, or the audio is not coming through and they can't hear you anyway. So there's a million things that go wrong. Murphy's Law, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And to extend to that, it often does. So I like studios because it's an environment that you have more control over. And you can make something really creative about it as well, just because you have more technology and a lot more people working on the production. Meanwhile, out in the field, you don't necessarily have that amount of people.
I have a question. So, what do you do if something goes wrong when you're on live?
Depends what goes wrong, because that answer could be a million different things. I could have a camera be missing a battery and just be like, okay, I'll just pop another battery in. Or the SD card could be not recording correctly, and none of my footage saves. So then it's a waste of an afternoon. Right. Or when you're doing a live stream of a sporting event and the stream won't start, or you're having internet issues for no reason. That's the stuff that you just can't do anything about. You have to just sit there and wait and pray that it does work. That's the kind of stuff that goes wrong, and you have to be really creative on the fly. Sometimes a camera won't be having its feed sent to a TriCaster, and that's just because the cord isn't syncing up with the input-output really well. So, again, there's a lot of solutions. I just need a new cord versus I need an entirely new setup. So, yeah, it's a scary, chaotic environment at times. But when things work properly, it's great.
That's cool. That's good. All right, so the next one, natural lighting or control lighting?
Control lighting. I wanted to make an argument for natural lighting, but it is so hard to work around the sun sometimes. Mm-hmm. Just like controlled lighting, this looks great. This is a great setup. And meanwhile, if we're out in the sun, I'm squinting and stuff, and then I have a shadow because my forehead kind of comes out over my eyes a little bit.
Sweating a bit, so now you just look.
And I'm just I'm a mess. Yeah, and then if you want proper lighting, you have to have your camera set up there, and then the sun's up there, so you're staring directly at the sun, and you're yeah, this is great. Yeah. But then if you have the other way, then I'm dark, and you don't look as good. And it's shadows are so much easier to play around when you're in a studio with actual lighting.
Makes sense. Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere Pro?
Adobe.
Oh,
Adobe.
That was quick. Yeah.
Adobe. Listen, it's the industry standard. It's very expensive. For someone who had to pay for it, when I wasn't in school, it's very expensive.
Can we ask how? How much are we talking about?
I think if you want multiple services from Adobe, so if you want Photoshop and Premiere Pro, I think it's $20 a month.
Oh, okay. So that's not too crazy.
It's not too bad.
Yeah,
I think the full package for everything might be $30 a month, which is a lot.
That's a lot.
That's so much a year.
Honestly, I thought you were gonna say 300 something. I was like, oh my god,
it's not that bad.
But at least it comes out and stuff. So what's Final Cut Pro? What does that come with?
To be honest with you, that's really not a question for me. I don't really use Final Cut Pro, so I'm not entirely familiar with it. Somebody might be in the comments right now being like, if Final Cut Pro is like the best, it's better, it's cheaper, and I don't know. So if that's the case, like, please, voice your disagreement, and I will read it because I want to know better. But Adobe Premiere is just the one I've been trained with the most. And like I said, it's the industry standard. Like everyone uses it. They use it anywhere from a television station to like movies, like feature-length films. They use Adobe Premiere Pro nowadays.
Oh, wow.
So
that's how you know it's good.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. So it's
definitely getting what the
whole time my Marvel movie made on Adobe.
Nah, I really don't.
I don't know if every movie's made on Adobe, but I think certain ones might be. But again, the other thing is that since they're like the industry standard, that's why they have such a high like price. Yeah. Because like they know they're the best. Mm-hmm. And philosophically, I don't really like that type of mentality so much, but it's hard to argue with like the results and like what they're actually good at.
Yeah. All right. So the next one, and I don't know what this one is though. DSLR or cinema camera.
DSLR or cinema camera. DSLR is like easier. Cinema cameras are really hard to get working properly in my experience.
Oh, these are actual like cameras.
Yeah, they're camera types. Yeah.
Oh, I'm like.
Yeah, I just have more experience with a DSLR. So it's personal preference. Some people love cinema cameras, and more power to you. I think if you get them working properly, the picture's clearer and they look nicer. But DSLRs are just that's what I was raised on. That's what I know. So I'm sticking with that.
So is a cinema camera like a big like? I don't
know.
I mean, it could be anything from a handheld to like.
Like the ones with, like when they're in movies and stuff, and like they have the
like with all like the little gadgets on it and stuff.
That's what that is.
I think they could really be anything from like something you can just hold in your hand to something that's like so massive that you need to like set it up on a giant tripod. Yeah. So like there's a big variety. Same with DSLR ones as well, but I just like DSLRs. I just like them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So handheld or tripod?
I do more field shoots, so I really like handheld, and that's what I've learned a lot. When I was at the television station, they like actively discouraged people from using tripods, so I didn't really get a lot of experience using them. That said, when I'm out in the field alone, I can't just hold the camera and do a stand-up at the same time. So having a tripod handy helps, but it's a matter of personal preference. If I'm on the sidelines at a game, I will be using my handheld just because I can track the action better. But if I'm up like in the stands recording, that's when I would use a tripod because it's steadier. I get a better like way to dolly and move the camera around and pans and stuff. So it depends on the situation, but personally I have used handhelds more, so I like those.
How do you stay so like what's the word? So like steady with the camera though when you're doing handheld? Because I would shake it.
It's a matter of training. You tend to learn how to stand a little bit. The way I was taught is you hold it like this. So this is where you have like the wrist strap. I wish I brought one in so I could show you, but the wrist strap's here. This is going to be like your steady hand. You use your pointer finger or your thumb, depending on which camera it is, to like start recording. And then you have to find a way to like hold the camera properly so that you can see I didn't mean to tap the mic, so that you can see the viewfinder, which is where you're showing your footage. Or you could like look through the little hole thing, but you have to hold it like this. So you have like 2 points of contact. Right. Then I usually like lock my elbows into my ribs. So yeah, like you have it like this, like stick your elbows like down to like where your ribs are. So that way you have like, you have 2 points of contact with your camera, but now you have 2 points of contact with your body as well. So when you turn your body, that's when the camera like follows you. So that's how you get it to be as steady as you can. Meanwhile, if you're holding it out here, this is when your hands start to shake more because you don't have as much stability. Meanwhile, I can like lean on my own ribs to give myself leverage with the camera. And then shoulder mounted cameras are easier because you have it up like this, and then it's a point of contact with your shoulder and your arm and your other arm. So, but those are way heavier. Those are like probably an extra 30, 40 pounds. And most of that's in the lens. The lens is the heaviest part of those cameras. Wow. There was one game I was at back with my television station where that was the first shoot I ever did where I had one of those like giant cameras, and it was a football game, and my television station said, hey, when you're shooting football games, you want the action coming towards you, so you have to position yourself on the opposite side of the field. So when the ball gets turned over, you have to go to the other side. So I'm lugging this big 50, 60-pound camera around, and I didn't want to miss a play. So, yeah, I'd have to run with the thing, like, down the sideline. The camera was probably, like, as big, if not bigger than I was.
Oh, my God.
So I had to be, like, really concise and careful not to, like, run into anything. And there's players, like, walking around, too. Like, I need to make sure I'm not in anyone's way either. Like, there's cheerleaders, like, all the way up to the sideline, so I have to, like, sidle past them.
Right.
With this big camera, so yeah, it's one of those things that it's just occupational hazards, but it's really fun. I love it.
That's cool. I have one more question.
Yes.
So like, you know how you watch the news? I know you watch the news
sometimes.
Okay, you know how like when they're like cutting in between people and they be like outside somewhere and then they'll be like waiting for like 5 seconds to like talk. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, you know how they be like, back to you. Like,
you know, as somebody who, I mean, All Access has started doing live reports from the field, it's not as easy as you would think to get everything synced up on time. Right. The way that we were able to go about it was I would have our producer in my ear when I would be out recording the stand-ups for the people who were recording their field shoots. And they would say, okay, yeah, stand by. So I'd like hold my arm up so like let the person know like, hey, get ready. You know, it's going to be on to you in a second. And then when I hear go, I have to wait for her to say go in the studio for it to be passed over our communication device, which was a phone more often than not. And then I point to them, and then they have to take like a couple milliseconds to collect themselves before they start going. Now, sometimes if you're not using a phone, if you're using some kind of other audio device, like, I don't know, a walkie, or you're getting the feed directly from the television station, that's when things just can kind of get jumbled up and lost in translation a little bit. So there is a delay within the system. So how do I feel about it? Obviously, you want to remove as much of a possibility for that as you possibly can, but it's just something that happens, and there's really not much you can do about it. So it's one of those things that it looks bad, but don't worry about it. It just happens.
It don't even be looking bad. I just be like, dang, they were mad long to talk.
It builds suspense, though. You're like, what's he going to say?
No, it really does.
Come on.
That's cool,
you can do it.
I never really thought about it that way, though. Like, everything is always like, it's a process to everything. Everything happens.
Well, I mean, you know, you get humbled really quickly when you go to work in a career path or a field, even a part-time job where you don't know what's going on. And you're like, you have this idea of like, oh, this is what it is. This is what it should be. But the first time when I was getting trained at 69 News and they sat me in the studio for the first time and I just saw the anchors there, I was like, wow, this is like way different than I thought. Because when you're looking through like the television, you see a camera, you see a very like tight shot of these people at the desk, and you're like, okay, that's fine. But you don't realize there's a huge studio where there's a section over here, there's a section over here, there's another room where the meteorologist works. There's like 5 different cameras at different angles and everything. The lights come on, and then when they're at commercial breaks, they're just talking about traffic. They're just like, oh my, getting into work this morning was so crazy. Like I didn't have time to stop for coffee, and I was just like watching people who I used to watch growing up, who are now my colleagues, just chatting like nothing's going, like they're not working during a broadcast, like during commercials. I'm like, this is hysterical. Like I never expected this. So yes, sorry to kill your immersion for those of you who are avid news watchers, but when it's during commercial breaks, more often than not, the anchors are just having a conversation. They could be talking about any old thing.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Sitting on that camera, just
for multiple hours a day.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for people who are like on air for that long. Rob Vaughn, who was on 69 News back in my home area, he recently stepped down for being the main anchor. But I admired him very much, and getting to see him work in person was an absolute treat. And that's one of my favorite things about the field is when you get to meet people who you've been watching your whole life, who are kind of like heroes to you, and then just being a colleague with them. We have a professor here named Scott Graham. He's an adjunct, but he does a lot of the preseason games for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he works at Westwood One as a sports commentator. And, you know, I met him, and I had a class with him last semester, and it's just like, this is a professional who I'm getting to learn from. And that's my favorite thing about the sports communications and media department here. Even just beyond RTN, there's so many people who are like professionals, like professional, worked in Philly for years, and just you were learning from the best if you come to Rowan. And I mean that sincerely. With all the classes I've taken, with all the professors I've studied under, I haven't had a weak link in the bunch. There hasn't been a single professor I've been like, yeah, not a fan of them. They didn't really teach me much. Every single one has given me, even if I'm learning the same lessons over and over, they're telling me something from their perspective. That's great. So I love this school. Coming here is the best choice you could possibly make.
We love Rowan.
I do love Rowan. I'm so glad I happened to find this place coming into college again, because it's been a game changer.
Same.
So, any other thoughts? Any other questions that you had burning? Yes.
What's your Instagram so we can put it on there?
What's my Instagram? So I started a professional one recently. I only have one thing up, but I'll be doing some more with it as well. But it's Keegan the commentator, spelled exactly how you expect it to be. And then I'm actually not going to give my personal one. You guys don't. You guys don't need to know everything.
Like for the club.
I'm very secretive, as you can tell.
Private page.
What's your club one?
What's my club one? Yeah. Oh, the club one.
No, sorry. We can put that. We can put your business. We gonna get you.
I'm sorry.
They're gonna book you.
So actually, do you mind if I pull it up right now? Because I don't remember it off the top of my head.
Go ahead.
Ugh, I'm so unprofessional.
It'd be like that.
No, I really don't.
Everybody be like Rowan something or something Rowan.
Yeah.
Can't pick.
It's probably RTN Rowan.
It's Rowan TV Network.
Oh, I was going to say, ooh, like.
You were close. But yeah, it's Rowan TV Network on Instagram. I think we're trying to optimize other social media platforms as well. I think we're doing more TikTok content in the future, and we're going to have a website. We have a website now, but it's just being further optimized by our new e-board position, that the title I forget off the top of my head, but communications director.
Nice.
Yes, communications director, who's going to be working on getting that all taken care of over the summer.
Nice. Thank you all so much for joining us for this episode of Club Chat. We can't wait to meet more clubs on campus. If you're interested, check out our show notes or the link in our Instagram bio. See you guys next time.